up. Every single mission is more or less like a really difficult one. So one that sticks out in my mind, um, really, really strange situation. I had crew that would fly from Sweden to the island of Samos, and then the new crew would come in, and we tried to like, I guess you would say, stagger them in a way that the old
Yep.
crew could train them on the new one. Obviously, they're
Oh,
you know,
nice.
unfamiliar waters. Um, here's our area of action. This is our SAR area. We go around the corner. This is where we buy our euros and lattes, and which is another weird thing because you're in a crisis area around the corner, but when you go back home, we were staying in hotels and eating like kings, and queens.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we have to feed ourselves to take care of our bodies and minds, and then all of a sudden the alarm goes, or we go out and check things out. Um, and just to let everyone know, the crew was on for 2 weeks because my experience in the central Mediterranean, I was there for about a month. I was like, yeah, that's a lot of rescue. That's intense. You
That's a
got to
long
go
time.
you got to go home because you're on call 2 weeks and there's going to be something almost every day, if not five a day or what have you, depending on what the weather's like. And so anyway, we shifted out the crew. We were doing a like, staggering and showing this new crew, the north side, this death coast, like I said, coast of death. We're doing boarding exercises where the two ships would come together, just to come together, tie up, and talk to each other. And for some reason, the boarding didn't go as correct or something. We're just getting the feel for the boats or something. So we turned off engines, powered down the engines, and started talking to each other. We're on the north side of the island, talking to each other while we're standing on deck, these different crews. And all of a sudden, we hear this cry for help, like a literal, like, help, help in the distance. It's kind of like in the or say early evening,
Yeah.
um, sun setting. So we were just thinking about doing a quick exercise and going home and getting rest before the next show. So we hear this help, help, and it's getting louder. And we're looking up the cliffs, and it's like maybe like whatever. I don't want to say 1,000 feet, but it's a couple hundred meters at least. And we're looking with the binoculars, and also we see a small group of people that are stranded on like this cliff ledge, where there's like really scrubby brush, and so they're kind of in the trees, kind of in the brush, and we see them. So it's like, okay, well, there's people that obviously, and there's when you look at the coast of where the sea meets the cliffs, there's rubber boats like that are just crashed and torn apart, that are like discarded, because it's hard to know. Like you have to identify, is that a fresh boat, or is that, oh, that's been there for a month, or so you
Wow.
kind of have to like chart it out a little bit. So anyway, we didn't see any fresh boats, but we saw people up there. So obviously they had made land sometime, and
Yeah.
they couldn't get out from this predicament, or this, the topography was way too difficult. So we get the boats. We're able to slowly like come in, and these are water jet boats, and so they can go in really shallow waters. The draft is like less than a meter, so
Wow.
go. Yeah, it's really fantastic maneuverability. There wasn't, the sea state was fine, so we can nose in very slowly. But first, we sent a rescue swimmer over, who was actually a rescue swimmer for the Swedish helicopters.
Oh,
Again,
nice.
I
Nice.
was looking for specialists in different areas to try to put, plug the gaps and bring a certain set of skills. So a very good friend of mine, rescue swimmer Jens Samuelsson for the Swedish Maritime Administration, he swam over, took off his gear, ran, pretty much did some mountain climbing with his wetsuit, and took the snorkel out. But it's still pretty warm, and established contact with them, and realized, okay, it's a couple different families, mostly men, women, and children, grandmothers, and so forth. Around 17 or so of these people, and they tell us that they sent two of the men to try to climb and find safety or help. And that's a big climb. We're looking up there like, okay, well, maybe we might be doing recovery after this. So yeah, yet we come back, we get able to go with the boats into the cliff, and it's a climb. We're talking a couple hundred feet of climbing up through this scrub brush, loose, jagged rocks, really crap rock. It's not like you're setting like really good rock climbing, or a path down like a mountain goat. Um, so we get up to them, and we're, obviously do triage, like, okay, try to establish contact. The whole group was from Syria. Um, I found a boy, probably like around 15 or something like that, and he
Yeah.
spoke pretty good English. I was like, okay, Ahmad, or Ahmed, excuse me. I was like, we'll talk. You talk and I talk, and you can translate for the group. Hey, good. We've established comms, and this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna slowly, one by one, try to get you down the cliffs to that rescue boat and take you to the safe harbor. So anyway, they say, okay, they're in agreement. It's getting darker, but it's like, okay, we still have some light, but we're burning daylight. And so we have to, the combination of safety, headlamps. Oh, we
Yeah.
have climbing equipment, harnesses, or we're gonna have to, like, rappel these people off. But we find, like, eventually we make our own little kind of goat trail down. That should be for most people safety to get down. And I use the boy as the translator to describe things. He's first to go down, and he yells back up, and we create a chain of communication explaining our whole procedure. And this is a laborious process, even if it's 17 people. We're pretty high up, and one by one, and all of a sudden, all of a sudden they hand you a baby. It's like, oh, okay,
Of
I need my
course.
own balance, and I'm like, okay, I have a baby in one arm, and I have a grandmother in the other, and I'm like, okay, wait, stay there, and we would do like the thing, like I would climb down, I would hand the baby off to someone else, and then they would hand it to me, and then, this whole kind of procedure of getting down the cliff, and then it's dark, and it's headlamp time, and we're getting the majority of people off, but it's we get the people that are fast and easy, quick, and then get some of the, and then maybe in the middle before it's too dark, get the vulnerable small children down, so it's
Yep.
not dark, and they're not scared. Luckily, in the Sea Rescue Society, we have like a teddy bear. We all have different mascots. Yeah, and like we have a
I got you.
teddy bear with a Swedish Sea Rescue life jacket. That
Love
was just as important as my, like, first aid kit. It's like, this kid's screaming in my arms. Here's a teddy bear. Be
it.
happy. I'm gonna get you to the boat. So, oh yeah. So we get them down
Wow.
slowly, and then finally, like, the last person, like the grandmother or something, the one that's the least mobile of the group, and that was full on harnesses and rappelling her and setting up anchors and getting her down the cliffs, and she's screaming, like, oh, crazy, but we
Jeez,
have
oh
the situation under
man.
control, and so we get everyone on board, and we're sitting. They're down in the transport area. They can pretty much all fit on one boat, and we're sitting in this transport area and just not saying a word. I mean, they're calm now. They're almost falling asleep. And I'm talking with the boy and his mother, and, like, finally, like, how long you been here? Like, 2 days. They've been
Oh
on that cliff.
wow.
They've been on that cliff for 2 days. Like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah. So we're sitting there in this, like, this just feeling, like this vibration going through us, like looking at each other. I'm looking at one of the Greek rescuers we had with us, who's a consultant who did a lot of the mountain rescue stuff, Yanis, and looking at the rescue swimmer Jens, and, like, we're not saying a word, but we're just feeling the flow. Like, man, that was just, it wasn't clockwork, but we handled that situation in an unfamiliar territory with fairly unfamiliar, like, rescue techniques in a different country. It's like, and save these people. So it was just this amazing feeling, like getting in that flow state, was probably one of the more memorable experiences from that mission.